You're watching TAG TV.
Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 4th of December. US Defense Secretary meets Indian counterpart at Pentagon. Taliban will return if NATO leaves, warns Stoltenberg. And Sri Lankan court restrains Rajapaksa from acting as Prime Minister. And now for all the details. Indian Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman met US Defence Secretary at the Pentagon on Monday to boost strategic defence ties. India and the United States have drawn closer in recent years, sharing concerns over Pakistan-based anti-Western and anti-Indian militant groups.
US Secretary of Defense James Mattis met his Indian counterpart Nirmala Sitharaman at the Pentagon on Monday. Mattis and Sitharaman's meeting took place as the US Air Force kicked off a 12-day joint exercise with India's Air Force in West Bengal. The world's two largest democracies have drawn closer in recent years, seeking ways to counterbalance China's spreading influence across Asia, notably in Pakistan, Southeast Asia and the Indian Ocean. The presence of US troops in Afghanistan has also heightened US sensitivity to the rivalry between nuclear-armed India and Pakistan. Washington and New Delhi share concerns over Pakistan-based anti-Western and anti-Indian Islamist militant groups.
In news from Pakistan, Pakistan's Foreign Ministry said on Monday that US President Donald Trump has written a letter to Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan seeking assistance in the Afghan peace process. The letter comes days after Trump in an interview said Pakistan doesn't do anything for the United States despite billions of dollars in aid.
US President Donald Trump in a letter has asked Pakistan's help with faltering Afghan peace talks, Pakistan's foreign minister said on Monday. The ministry said Trump in a letter stated that his most important regional priority was achieving a negotiated settlement of the Afghan war. The letter comes days after the US president in an interview said Pakistan doesn't do a damn thing for the United States despite billions of dollars in US aid. Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan also reacted in a series of tweets saying the record needs to be put straight. Pakistan was among the countries that met in Switzerland's Geneva city on November 27 on Afghan reforms and peace prospects in the region. During the two-day conference, Afghan leaders and international diplomats evaluated whether strategies and aid offered to Afghanistan were helping resolve the problems created by the prolonged war, paving the way for the withdrawal of foreign troops.
Anti-Pakistan protests were held recently in the UK and Germany by activists to demand immediate release of missing Baloch persons whom they claimed have been abducted by Pakistani forces. The protesters highlighted that Pakistan has been using enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings in Balochistan to muzzle dissenting voices.
Baloch activists recently held protests in UK and Germany against the enforced disappearances in Balochistan. The protesters demanded the immediate release of hundreds of Baloch activists and intellectuals who they claimed have been kidnapped and are being tortured by the Pakistani army and the inter-services intelligence. They also demanded that enforced disappearances should be criminalized and blamed the judiciary and the government for failing to take notice of the alarming situation.
The aim of our protest and demonstration to save release Baloch missing persons who have been abducted by the military force Pakistan, Balochistan and other parts of the Pakistan. We appeal to international community, human rights organizations to play their role to save release Baloch missing persons and to stop the ongoing human rights violation in Balochistan.
Baloch activists have long blamed that Pakistani forces use extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances as means to muzzle dissenting voices in Balochistan. They have been protesting worldwide to seek help from the international community and human rights organizations.
Moving on, poor condition of roads in Pakistan-administered Kashmir continue to create daily travel problems for the locals. The lives of people in the illegally occupied region are full of miseries as Islamabad doesn't pay any heed to their request. The locals blame it is part of Islamabad's agenda to keep the region underdeveloped.
The poor condition of roads in Pakistan-administered Kashmir has made travelling a difficult task for the locals. Residents in the region allege that the roads in the illegally occupied territory are damaged and there is no infrastructural development. They say the Pakistani administration should take care and maintain the infrastructure, which is one of their basic rights.
ये दुई गाड़ी क्रॉस नहीं हो सकती अगर सुजुकी दो आ रही हैं उनकी क्रॉसिंग नहीं हो रही तो बड़ी गाड़ी हुआ बड़ा सारा मसला बनता है तो बाकी आने जाने दा असां बारिश हो जुला फिर रोड बंद हो जुलती है
इस जदीद साइंसी दौर में भी ये लोग जो सहूलतें हैं उनका फकदान है यहाँ पे यहाँ के लीडरशिप को गवर्नमेंट को चाहिए यहाँ पे लोगों को ये जो चल रहे हैं टोयोटा के थ्रू चल रहे हैं और दूसरे चल रहे हैं सेंटर इस इतनी बड़ी आबादी के लिए
People of Pakistan-administered Kashmir have been waiting for years now for a better administration that could work for their development. However, the corruption and ignorance in the system has become a major challenge for the growth of the region, leaving the future of locals in dark.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has said that the alliance and its partners must ensure that Afghanistan never again becomes a safe haven for the terrorists. He said the challenge still remains great in Afghanistan as the cost of leaving is bigger than the cost of staying.
NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Monday said the alliance and its allied partners must ensure that Afghanistan never again becomes a safe haven for international terrorists. Speaking at a pre-ministerial meeting in NATO headquarters, Stoltenberg stated that the challenge still remains great in Afghanistan, adding that the cost of leaving is bigger than the cost of staying. He said it is important for the alliance to keep its presence in Afghanistan because they want to prevent Afghanistan from becoming a platform on which terrorist attack could be planned, organized and executed.
If NATO and NATO allies left Afghanistan, we have to be prepared that there is a high risk that Taliban will come back and that different terrorist organizations will be able to gain ground and establish strong footholds in Afghanistan.
The remarks by the NATO chief come at a time when during recent weeks the US has extended its efforts to bring the Taliban to the negotiating table, aimed at ending the 17-year-long conflict in Afghanistan.
Moving on to news from Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan court on Monday issued an order preventing Mahinda Rajapaksa from acting as Prime Minister and holding cabinet meetings, thereby heightening the political drama in the country. The island nation is witnessing a political crisis since President Maithripala Sirisena sacked Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and installed Rajapaksa in his place on October 26th.
A Sri Lankan court on Monday issued an order preventing controversially appointed Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and his deputed cabinet from holding office in the country. The court issued the interim order against Rajapaksa and his cabinet and asked them to appear again on December 12th to explain on what basis they are holding office. The decision puts a further brake on Rajapaksa's disputed government after Parliament voted last week to halt payment of ministers' salaries and travel expenses. Meanwhile, Rajapaksa said in a statement that his government would lodge an appeal with the Supreme Court on Tuesday. The Supreme Court is also set to begin hearing a petition on whether Sirisena's decision to dissolve Parliament was constitutional. It is expected to give its verdict on Friday. The island nation has been in crisis since President Maithripala Sirisena replaced Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe with Rajapaksa in October and then issuing an order dissolving the Parliament.
Indian Navy on Tuesday paid floral tributes to the fallen personnel of the 1971 Indo-Pakistan War to mark the occasion of Navy Day in India's southern Visakhapatnam city. The occasion was also marked by various naval exercises and aerial drills.
Indian Navy on Tuesday paid floral tributes to the fallen sailors who had sacrificed their lives during the 1971 Indo-Pak War to mark the occasion of Navy Day at the Victory at Sea Memorial in India's southern Visakhapatnam city. Flag Officer Commanding-in-Chief of Eastern Naval Command Karambir Singh laid the wreath at the memorial, besides the Guard of Honour being accorded to the fallen soldiers. Every year, the Indian Navy celebrates December 4th as Navy Day to commemorate the Indian Navy's daring attack on Karachi harbour during the war. Meanwhile, in Rameshwaram city of India's southern Tamil Nadu province, a unique display of daring acts on the Indian naval helicopters marked the celebrations of the Navy Day. Scores of locals and tourists gathered in the coastal city to witness the aerial drills.
Here we meet naval function, that is Naval Day. A very special day for us because we up to now we don't see this type of occasion.
The theme for this year's celebration is Indian Navy Mission Deployed and Combat Ready. As part of the celebrations, medical and blood donation camps, coastal cleanup activities, among other things, will also be conducted throughout the month.
A vintage car and bike rally was recently organized in Lucknow city of India's northern Uttar Pradesh province. The event displayed more than 50 vintage and classic beauties for the automobile enthusiast.
A vintage car and bike rally was recently organized in Lucknow city of India's northern Uttar Pradesh province, presenting a spectacle for the automobile enthusiasts. More than 50 vintage cars and bikes hit the busy roads of the city during the annual rally organized by the district administration as part of the ongoing Lucknow Mahotsav or festival. The event showcased the finest heritage of vintage and classic automobiles, including 1935 Fiat Balena, 1911 model Merryweather car, and several other vintage models of Austin, Ford, Morris, and Chevrolet.
1935 की Fiat Balena है। ये मेरे पिताजी ने 1950 में खरीदी थी, तब से मैं मेंटेन रखे हूँ उसको, और 1975 से मैं पार्टिसिपेट कर रहा हूँ जितनी विंटेज कार रैली होती है।
50 से भी ऊपर इसमें कारें और मोटरसाइकिलें शामिल हैं। अधिकतर जो गाड़ियाँ हैं वो 80-90 साल पुरानी हैं और यहाँ पे बहुत ही हम लोग कोशिश करते हैं हर साल की इनको शोकेस किया जाए, लखनऊ के लोग इसको अप्रिशिएट कर सकें।
Hundreds of automobile enthusiasts visited the rally to witness the bygone beauties and appreciated the efforts of the administration in holding the event every year.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. US Defense Secretary meets Indian counterpart at Pentagon. Taliban will return if NATO leaves, warns Stoltenberg. And Sri Lankan court restrains Rajapaksa from acting as Prime Minister. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.